Here's the situation a lot of people watching this are actually in. You get home, you eat, the family goes to bed, and the only hours you genuinely have for the charts are the hours when Europe is asleep. So you open the platform, you pull up the pair everybody talks about, and the chart just sits there. 40 minutes, barely a candle, and you draw the obvious wrong conclusion that nothing is happening. Something is happening. It just isn't happening on that chart. So today we go session by session, and we start where the week starts. By the end of this video, you'll know which pairs actually work in the Asian session, why the ranges behave so differently from London, why the pound is usually a bad idea at 3 in the morning UTC, the scheduled moments that can wake the whole thing up, and how traders who can only trade at night make that window pay. The Asian session isn't a worse market. It's a different one, and it rewards a different shopping list. So, if this kind of content helps you, take a second to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so the next lessons reach you the moment they go live. And feel free to share in the comments which topics you would like us to explore in future videos. And if you want to support the channel on a deeper level, consider becoming a member to unlock exclusive content and help keep these lessons coming. You'll also find links to our trusted partners in the description below. Using them costs you nothing, and it directly helps the channel keep producing free educational content like this. Let's put it on the clock we built last time. Tokyo runs from midnight to 900 UTC, with Sydney already open ahead of it from 2200. So the practical Asian window is roughly 2300 to 900 UTC. And here's a small twist on the daylight saving warning. Japan doesn't change its clocks at all. Tokyo's hours never move. Yours do. So twice a year, the session arrives an hour earlier or later in your life, even though nothing changed in Tokyo. And this is not a small market with the lights off. Tokyo is a major financial center, and it shares these hours with Singapore and Hong Kong, two of the largest currency trading hubs on the planet. So there is serious institutional money working in this session. There's just less of it than in London. It's spread across fewer currencies, and it's pointed at a different shopping list. Thinner is the right word for the Asian session. Empty is not. That produces a very particular personality, and it's the opposite of what most beginners expect. This session tends to range rather than trend. Levels get respected. Highs and lows from the previous day hold more often than they break. The moves are smaller, but they're also cleaner and more orderly, and they don't usually reverse on you 3 minutes after you've committed. It's the most polite part of the trading week, and the reason is simply who's awake. Remember the rule from the last video. A pair needs both of its currencies to have people working. In the Asian hours, the desks that trade euros, pounds, and francs are asleep. Nobody in Frankfurt is repositioning anything. So those pairs don't have a real fight going on. They have one side idling while the other waits. The chart isn't broken. The other half of the room is empty. Which gives you the first and biggest filter of this entire video. In the Asian session, trade a pair where at least one side is at home. That means the yen, the Australian dollar, and the New Zealand dollar, the three currencies we met in the last two videos. Everything else here is a compromise, and most of the time, it's a bad one. Start with the yen, because it owns this session. USDJPY is the busiest thing on the board while Tokyo works, and it behaves exactly the way we described it in Chapter 2. Orderly, technical, driven by the gap between what the Fed pays and what the Bank of Japan pays. In Tokyo hours, it tends to move in measured steps rather than lunges, and it respects levels well enough that you can genuinely plan around them. And the yen carries something no other currency in this session has: scheduled corporate flow. Japan is an exporting nation, so exporters and importers have real dollars to convert every single day, and a lot of that gets settled at what the market calls the Tokyo fix, 9:55 in the morning Japan time, which is 0:55 UTC. You'll often see a buildup of activity running into it and a change of behavior right after. That isn't speculation. That's a country doing its accounting. Then there's the Aussie and the Kiwi, and this is their home window too. AUDUSD and NZDUSD are properly liquid here. And this is the part people miss. The news that actually moves them lands in these hours. Chinese trade figures, Chinese growth numbers, Chinese factory surveys. The Aussie is the market's most liquid way to express a view on China, and China publishes while you're the one watching. This session also owns 3 central banks: the Reserve Bank of Australia, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, and the Bank of Japan. Their decisions land inside this window, and those are the days when the polite little range session becomes the most violent hour of the week. 2 of them run on a predictable clock. The Bank of Japan doesn't announce at a fixed time, which makes its mornings genuinely messy and worth checking before you sit down. Now the pairs that are pure Asian session instruments: AUDJPY and NZDJPY. Both sides are awake, both sides are liquid, and both sides care about the same thing: risk appetite. As we saw when we met the commodity dollars, AUDJPY is the market's fear gauge, because it puts the most risk-hungry major directly against the most risk-averse one. If you want one chart that tells you the mood of the Asian session, that's the one to have open. And now the warning in the title. The pound is usually a bad idea here, and it's worth being precise about why. At 3 in the morning UTC, London is asleep and New York is asleep, so GBP/USD has neither of its homes on duty. The spread is wider than you're used to, the range is a fraction of what it will be 6 hours later, and the move you do get is often noise that London erases the moment it sits down. GBP/JPY deserves its own warning because it looks like the exception and it really isn't. Half of it is genuinely awake, so it does move, and it has a loud reputation for moving. But you'd be taking one of the widest ranging pairs on the board during the thinnest hours it will see all day. Big range plus thin liquidity is the worst combination in trading, not the best one. That's how that pair earned its nickname. And that points at the real cost of trading the wrong thing here. Spreads widen when participation drops. We spent a whole video on that back in chapter 1. So in the Asian session, your cost per trade goes up at exactly the moment the available range goes down. Boring isn't just boring. Boring is expensive, because you end up paying more to chase less. Gold behaves the same way, by the way. We said it at the end of the last chapter. Gold is quiet in Asia and comes alive in London. EUR/USD is a milder version of the same story. Liquid enough that it won't hurt you, but it mostly drifts sideways, quietly building the range that the London Open is going to break. Watching it here is fine. Expecting it to pay you here is not. Which brings us to the most useful thing this session hands you, and most of it isn't even a trade. The high and the low that price builds between roughly midnight and 7 in the morning UTC is what traders call the Asian range. It's a real, visible box on your chart, and London very often takes it out in its first couple of hours. So the quiet session is where tomorrow's reference levels get drawn. How you actually trade that break, where you enter, where the stop goes, what makes it valid instead of a trap, is not this course's job. That belongs to the technical analysis course, and the smart money and ICT material goes much deeper into what that range really represents. My job here is to make sure you know the box exists and when it forms. What you do with it is theirs. 2 honest caveats before the shopping list. First, this session is not always quiet. A Bank of Japan surprise, a currency intervention out of Japan's finance ministry, or an unexpected number from China can make it the fastest hour of your week with no warning at all. Second, Monday morning here is its own animal, because as we saw last time, this is where the weekend gets priced in and the gap shows up. So here's the list, and it's short on purpose. Trade: USDJPY, AUDUSD, NZDUSD, and AUDJPY. Watch, but don't touch, EUR/USD and gold, which are only building their range. And leave alone GBP/USD, GBP/JPY, and anything pairing the euro with the pound. Those are London's business, and they will still be there when London opens. Now, who is this session actually for? Obviously, anyone living in Asia or Oceania, but also a lot of people watching this from the other side of the world. Here in Brazil, at UTC-3, Tokyo's first hours land at 9 in the evening. after dinner, after the kids are down. That is not a consolation prize. That's a real, usable, repeatable window, and it's there for you every single weeknight. Just size your expectations to the session instead of to your ambition. Fewer setups, smaller targets, more waiting. If you carry a London-sized profit target into a Tokyo-sized range, you'll sit there and watch good trades turn into nothing. Handling that patience is really a mindset problem, and our psychology course is where that gets built. But the market half of it is simple. Match the target to the hours you're actually in. Here's your 3-minute homework for the coming week. Every morning, open one chart and mark the high and the low that were built between midnight and 7 UTC. 2 lines, that's it. Then come back after the London Open and look at what happened to them. Do that 5 times and you'll understand this session better than any explanation I could give you. So what should you trade during the Asian session? Trade the currencies that are actually home. The yen, the Aussie, and the Kiwi, and the crosses between them. Trade the range instead of hunting a trend. Keep the wider spread in mind, and leave the pound, the euro, and gold for the people who will be awake in a few hours. The Asian session isn't a smaller version of London. It's a different market, with a different shopping list. And in the next video, we meet those people. London, one city that handles more Forex than any other country on Earth, where the euro, the pound, the franc, and gold all wake up at once, and where the direction of the entire day is very often decided in the first 2 hours. If the Asian session is the market thinking, London is the market deciding. That's where we go next. I'll see you there, trader. So, trader, if this video brought you more clarity, like it, subscribe, and turn on notifications so the next lessons reach you. And tell me in the comments what you want me to cover next. And if you want to go deeper, you can become a member of the Com Lucro Trader community right here on YouTube. It unlocks exclusive content, early access, and extra tools for your development, while directly supporting the channel. You'll also find our trusted partners linked in the description. Using those links costs you nothing and helps us keep producing this kind of educational content. And remember, the mission of the Com Lucro channel is simple. We help traders build clarity, confidence, and structure, so every decision is made with discipline and intention. Here you'll find complete courses built as a true trading masterclass. Liquidity, market structure, higher time frame analysis, and supply and demand. Always focused on reading price and executing with a professional mindset. We also cover trading psychology, risk management, and long-term consistency. Because trading isn't just about charts. It's about mindset, discipline, and execution over time. Our main courses include smart money concepts, ICT, technical analysis, trading psychology, and Wyckoff. Alongside that, we share insights from respected traders whose work helps you understand how markets really behave. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.